Hello everyone, Stardweeb here to ruin your day. Hey Lois, remember the time I did a Garfield movie video in 2024? No? Well, I do.
We're doing a sequel.
In 2006, 20th Century Fox, 20th Century Studios, released a sequel to the critically acclaimed indie film Garfield. And much like any good Wes Anderson movie, it has Bill Murray. Again. His contract apparently included a sequel that ended up being so successful it was ripped a new one by critics and Garfield heads alike, and also failed at the box office. Now, why did they even make this at all? Drugs cost money, that's why. That's honestly the best way I can describe it. The one thing I failed to mention in my previous vid was my weird nostalgic relationship with these movies. Like, apparently I watched the sequel growing up way more than the first, and dare I say, thought it was better, and actually thought it was really good. I hate Mondays. Pretend it's a Monday. Like, it's currently Tuesday as I'm recording this. Like, I take like a million eons to make these. Anyways, here's a review of Garfield 2, The Pussy Trap. Oops, I'm sorry, that's not the title, silly. The movie starts off with humorous illustrations of Garfield pulling a hoodwinked on all these classic fairy tales, including Humpty Dumpty, who he just straight up murders, the fucking psychopath. What do you think this is, Sausage Party? Wait a minute, all of this implies that Garfield in this timeline only is in the public domain. Does this mean I get to make my Garfield horror movie at A24? Sadly, this is the most Garfield thing that this Garfield movie has to offer. Yup. What, were you expecting this to actually act like a Garfield movie? Nah, man, those are for dirty liberals. Why would you want that? Because as it turns out, it's Garfield's evil twin brother, Scarfield. He's played by Nigel Thornberry and is the Prince of Carlisle, where everyone only lives to kiss his ass, kiss it, they'll even wipe it for him. We Windows Movie Maker transition to America, where we see everyone's favorite fat orange cat plush living life like a skibbity sigma, and let that be the first and only time I will ever use those words in that exact order. Enjoy them while they last, fellow kids, but remember, I'm a mature, functioning adult who would never resort to brain rot in the name of comedy ever.
Time for a new DJ.
Fortnite Battle Pass. I just shit on my ass.
Not much has changed since the first film, aside from John making the bold decision to propose to his cat, as in a rather unfortunate twist, John turned out to be Shane Dawson the entire time. Nah, I'm kidding, he's actually practicing his proposal to Jennifer Love Hewitt, but Garfield doesn't like her for some reason.
Well, this is a girl. No, worse, she's a girl vet.
She's a girl.
Speaking of, Liz drops by to give John some exciting news. Apparently she's gonna be going to London to fill in for Jane Goodall after she dropped out of an animal conservancy. And no, that is not a joke.
Jane Goodall dropped out at the last minute because she's nursing a sick chimp, and they asked me.
And that's it? She literally just came to his house to tell him all this. Okay. John also had a surprise for her, but oh no, Garfield has the one ring. Now his date night is ruined while Garfield's in the other room doing some, very inappropriate things to this turkey.
Garfield, you ate the whole turkey?
Grab me if you want. Nothing will unfuck the Thanksgiving turkey.
John's all bummed out before immediately becoming so down bad for Liz that he plans on flying across the world just to surprise her. This is actually how the plot starts. So John takes his pets to a clinic until they escape and sneak into his car on the way to London. Okay, so just gonna interrupt here because I just found out while editing I downloaded a file that apparently has an extended version. In the other cut, I guess there was like a narrator for like 2 scenes, and I guess one of the scenes must have been cut, and I guess the narration's gone, so the file I have has like this weird filler scene where it ducks in a pool of the Billy Connolly. So I don't exactly know why there's 2 cuts. I don't know why there's a Snyder cut of fucking Garfield 2 of all things, but just a reminder, the dialogue that's gonna come up right now might seem a little unmatched with everything else, but Anyways, I'm just gonna play the clip right now and just pretend it goes on from there.
On the other side of the world, there lived an equally pampered cat.
Oh right, there's a narrator in this. Roscoe Lee Brown, no less. I mainly recognize him as the narrator of Babe, so yeah, that checks out. Though he's only ever used in this opening, and after that, they just drop the narration completely. What was even the point of having narration at all? What's even worse is that this was actually one of his final roles in anything before he passed away in 2007. You guys want to know what his actual definitive final role in anything was? Epic Movie. I shit you not, it was Epic Movie. My god, what a way to go out, man. The last two movies on your resume, and it's these two. Garfield 2 and Epic Movie. Rest in peace, King. While we're on that subject, it turns out that Prince's owner died, and so her estate's now being bestowed on her beloved cat. Yep, you've heard that correctly. The cat. Not this jabbering ape. The cat.
I leave all my worldly possessions to my beloved kitty, Prince the 12th.
As if animals know how to own fucking property. Now, shit, they are property. This is a movie about talking cats who eat lasagna without getting type 2 diabetes, and that's still the most believable thing in this movie. No wonder the nephew here is pissed that his salary is gonna be $50 a week. That's criminal. You wanna know how much that is on a yearly basis? I'll tell you, but you're gonna have to do some math. Yeah, I'll school you in on that shit. After giving an insightful speech to his beautiful animal sanctuary, Prince gets captured by Billy Connolly, who proceeds to drown the wet-ass P-word in the river. We then cut to John arriving at a hotel room in London. How he knew Liz would be in this exact room at this exact time is beyond me, but that doesn't matter because yay, they're together and they make out and stuff, I guess. Oh yeah, Garfield and Odie somehow survive hours suffocating in a bag, which Liz, someone who works with animals, is concerningly fine with. Like, she doesn't even ask John why he essentially illegally smuggled animals into the country with no oxygen, but sure, go on.
Don't let Odie out of your sight. They might deport him.
Deport Odie? I like this country already.
Oh boy, aren't you gonna love who just became president again? We cut back to the British animals, finding out that Prince went the way of Milo and Otis. Let me just cue that meme real quick, and then we cut back to the movie doing its damnedest to remind you that they're in England in it.
Stroll down the incredibly cultural Piccadilly, and then boom, Carnaby Street.
Aren't we about 40 years too late for Carnaby Street?
No, love, that's where all the swinging birds are.
So, how do we tell him? We cut back to Chives here, who's looking for Prince. He asks this guy, who is definitely not that same bad guy from earlier or anything, that would be ridiculous. He tries to pull a David Zasloff on this duck and rabbit, and then we cut back to Garfield watching TV like it's another Tuesday, or should I say another Monday. And for some ungodly reason, there's a Silence of the Lambs reference in this talking cat movie for babies.
First, let's grab some chow before I eat your liver with some fava beans and a nice Chianti.
Okay, movie, sure. You can laugh at the funny liver quote for all I care, but when Hannibal said he ate his liver with fava beans and a nice Chianti, he fucking meant it. He ate a dude's liver with fava beans and a nice Chianti. But sure, go ahead. Turn that obvious allusion to murder into a funny throwaway line for kids. I mean, doesn't it sound so funny?
I'm making murder fun!
Garfield and Odie leave the room because no one thinks to look down, and they start invading the British. Hey look, corgis, those are British, and so is the Queen of England. But wait, I thought they said there was no Queen of England. Oh, goddamn. After they piss off a guard, Garfield gets taken by Chives while the other guy tries to look for a kid in a yellow raincoat and then finds Odie instead. It's a classic switcheroo scenario. You can tell this movie was written by Americans because
Minced pie.
that is not a mince pie. Turns out, in some ways, they're twins. So John just randomly shows up in this filthy looking street to find his dog and the reused Garfield model covered in shit.
What am I gonna do with you guys? Do you know how bad I would feel if I lost you here?
I don't know, bud. You don't seem to sound that bad, huh? It's like you've lost your pets before, huh? That's strange. Back at the castle, Billy Connolly channels his inner John Cleese, bullshitting these guys into thinking the cat went missing.
Let's face it, the brain's the size of a gumball.
And there's some talk about some boring real estate crap until he mentions building condos next to the palace and deporting all the animals to the hamburger factory. It follows up with Garfield being taken to the castle, and we get some wacky chicanery and misunderstandings, because of course that happens.
A retirement home, a happy home? Where? What is this? Is this an insane asylum?
This was Bill Murray's genuine question written in gold ink. He's taken to the animals and gives a very out-of-character inauguration.
There'll be no more Mondays.
What?
Got it? Today is Tuesday.
Thank you.
Everyone then gets the idea to make Garfield think that he's a fucking pretty princess, so they don't get genocided by the nephew, and then we get some more misunderstanding moments. Ooh-wee.
Enough with the grooming.
Excuse me? We cut back to Garfield's servant giving him a Mr. Beast house tour, and according to Prince lore, this cat apparently outlived all of his ancestors by like 400 years. Or did he? It's never actually specified if this is even the same cat that's still alive, so I have two theories. Either A, we apply the Prince Grimwalker theory, in which this is actually a clone that gets killed off for every 9 lifetimes it's no longer useful. Or B, the most likely one in my opinion, the writers cared about as much about how time passes as they did for Odie's original owner, who's still locked in John's basement to this very day. Garfield's ultimately sold on the kitchen, and so we follow it up with a montage of him dicking around at the castle, playing the Jeffersons theme song for some reason.
Your donuts are dry and don't have holes in them, and your coffee's so weak it looks like tea.
Pushy Americans, always showing up late for every war. Overpaid, oversexed, and over here. Billy Connolly thinks he taw putty tat, so he sends this real estate chick to the green screen room and proceeds to hunt for some pussy. Should anyone use this video as background noise, I'd like to clarify. It's just a cat, one that wrecks shit up in the other room, causing a statue to dominate him. Okay, yeah, you know what, that was a blatant sex joke. Sorry, YouTube, my bad. We later see the bad guy trying to get his dog to rip a cat palo to pieces so he can hunt for Garfield, but the other animals get him to rip apart his new pair of pants instead. And I guess Peter Venkman was right about the man having no dick, cause this dog's trying to bite it off. We cut to the cleanest pub in London, where I forget how boring John and Liz are in this movie, dear God. As for Prince, he's initially hesitant to try out his first lasagna until he soon does the exact same thing I do whenever I see pics of Kim Pine. Wait, no, that's not what I meant. Ah, motherfucker. Garfield served a fat log, so naturally he rejects it in favor of lasagna, resulting in the animals making a kitchen disaster. But rather than going all Gordon Ramsay on their asses, Garfield gives an uplifting speech about how lasagna is the messiah, or something like that. He then teaches them how to cook to a Black Eyed Peas song.
Sheba, did you remember to wash your hooves?
Seems like no one learned shit from Ratatouille. Thankfully, this is a kids movie, so any concern for these animals getting type 2 diabetes from eating this lasagna will be put to rest. We're now back with Scarfield being so used to the Garfield life that he forgot about who he was. Suffice to say, he ain't learned shit from Mufasa. Liz drops her pamphlet, which Odie brings to Scarfield, triggering him to get off his arse and go home.
Did you just throw my cat out the window?
He survives falling several feet from a window and then survives from a bridge without landing on his feet, and then we're back at the castle where Billy tries to give his dog his juicy meat until the butler walks in. But since Billy's a good actor, he tells Chives to go on a holiday so he can enact the Garfield assassination. And Odie seems to be smarter than John here because he gives him a newspaper with a Garfield PNG. This finally makes him piece together that, wait a minute, maybe someone must have mistook my identical looking cat as the Prince of Carlisle. Oh wow, John, really? I never would have even guessed.
Didn't you say you have a cat that's Prince's doppelganger?
No, I'm saying they look exactly alike.
He literally just asked you that.
Dumb, stupid, weak, pathetic, white, guilt, milquetoast, piece of human garbage.
Meanwhile, Garfield overhears the other animals talking shit about him, and oh no, he finds out that he was never Prince Ali of Ababwa, and that's sad, even though the real Garfield would really he really shouldn't give a shit about any of this, but sure, whatever. We gotta have a falling out moment, of course. He stares at a Renaissance painting of Breckin Meyer, which convinces him to go back to John. Oh, and what luck that Liz just so happens to be at this exact castle at this exact time. Billy tries to get in her DMs until Garfield all of a sudden cares about her for once to do something about it. Get over here! He buggers off until Billy puts the cat in a bag and tosses him in a dungeon. No worries, faithful viewer, he doesn't have to put lotion on the skin or else it gets the hose again, because— oh shit! Alright! Finds Garfield and reveals a secret escape route, which just so happens to be here for like no reason. You mean to tell me that I was on 12 hours of probation just to find out that there was a fucking secret door? He leaves everyone to die until he finally runs into his reused model where they recreate Sonic CD.
You're the sad figment of my twisted psyche's tragic dividend. You're the un-me. I'm the real me. You wanna be me, kiddo? I was the real me when you were still in my short pants.
Garfield's like, ha, I found you, Baker. And then Prince is like, your Johnson needs you, old chap. Now go back to your own country. And he does. Except he doesn't. For some inexplicable reason, Garfield volunteers in helping these animals he barely cared for instead of getting the fuck out of Dodge, and Prince just goes like,
well, in that case, I decree that we pack our bags and get our scraggy bottoms out of here.
This right here, this is the real Garfield, no questions asked. In fact, I failed to mention this last time, but aside from John and Liz's chemistry-less romance, Garfield in both of these movies is almost completely mischaracterized. Like, they'll go out of their way to establish that he hates Mondays, eats lasagna, and is lazy, but they get him to do so much. He helps others, he gets himself in predicaments that's outside his comfort zone, and above all else, his athletic skills are whack as hell. You expect me to believe that he has the energy to do this? Never mind enough energy to help all these animals he only just knew for a few days. It's like they were allergic to actually making Garfield act like Garfield, except when they're not. The dog is more true to his original character than him. It's insane. Anyways, now that this Sonic CD shit has been settled, all they gotta do is bring the British cat to the solicitors and let the whole thing blow over. There's just one problem.
There's still 20 minutes left. Oh, it disappeared. Fuck.
So they have to plan out how to take down the Scottish guy and his little dog too, when this whole thing could just be easily resolved by having one of the cats walk into the fucking house and just go like, I'm not dead. I mean, surely if Billy saw one of these cats, I mean, they can see him, right? Like, right? But whatever, a chase ensues and the bad guy gets his shit kicked in. Like, he gets slammed by metal, shot by stones, and mauled by his own dog. What does Garfield and Prince do though? They run really, really fast, and that's it. That was their plan the whole time. Sounds like a plan to me. The bad guy sits at a table wondering where he went wrong in his life until the solicitors find his raggedy ass. His patience reaches a breaking point as he grabs a goddamn crossbow and takes them hostage until somehow Garfield returns, and so does Prince. The dead speak and all that stupid stuff. Just in the nick of time, John and Odie arrive at the castle and the dog bites his asshole, tossing his crossbow to John, resulting in the stupidest hostage negotiation I think I've ever seen. Liz just pops into existence and then the dude takes her hostage, but instead of pointing his gun at her, he points it at John, who, mind you, has a crossbow. John could easily shoot this guy if he did so much as lay a finger on his girl, but instead he just puts it down and briefly surrenders. Bro, you were so down bad for this girl throughout the entire movie and you're just gonna back down like that? Just shoot him with the crossbow. I feel like I'm losing my goddamn mind. This is so fucking shitty, I can't take it.
You're stealing my scary stuff idea too. Now I'm gonna sue you too. You and Nermal both. And I'm gonna sue the guy who produces this show for giving me such a lousy part in this episode.
But you know what? I'm past the point of caring because they quickly wrap this up by suggesting you have more fun than a ferret down your trousers. And then John does the exact same thing he did to what's-his-name in the first movie. Wow, how climactic. Garfield didn't even directly do anything here to solve it, but he saved the day along with his new sidekick. Wait, did they just kill that bird? Mr. Goodman gets arrested and says goodbye to Chives forever. As for John, he's given the one ring and finally says,
Look, Deborah! Floyd!
Will you marry me?
And she says yes, because yay, I totally ship these two. It's the combination of John x Liz. It's called Wait. Oh no. No. It's a happily ever after for all, as the two cats have a dance party ending. And that's it. It just cuts to credits, like it's over. Unless we count the junior novelization as the true canon ending to Garfield 2. Oh yeah, this exists. In this novel, it actually ends on the main characters on their plane ride back home, and I assume out of silly chicanery, they forget someone. Kevin! Garfield's still in England while Prince accidentally crashes the plane, thus ending Garfield 2 on a rather unfortunate note. And that was a stupid movie, but hey, at least I got to see how it ended, right? You get it? Because, look, I try to be funny. This is like the least wanted video in the whole world. What do you want from me? Damn, where have I went with my life? One moment you've graduated high school, and now you're stuck at a minimum wage job getting paid diddly squat, making videos in between.
I think you've had enough tea for today. Let's get you out of here.
Don't you get it? You see the PFP? I am Mr. Star Dweeb. This is straight up not a Garfield movie at all. Aside from the main characters, not a single other thing is adapted from the comics or cartoon in any way, and you could legit replace the characters with anyone else and the plot would just be the same. Even when isolated from the brand, the only saving graces in this waste of talent are Tim Curry because, well, come on, you can't go wrong with the hotel guy from Home Alone 2, and Billy Connolly doing his damnedest to make his character memorable. Everything else is just a slightly worse version of the already pretty bad first film, and it's apparent that they really only did this just because that movie made so much money, yet it still made significantly less, so now it's just the Joker 2 of the Garfield cinematic universe. For all its faults, at least the first movie tried to be a Garfield movie. Tried. I mean, it had Nermal and Arlene, those are from Garfield. Hell, you could even argue that the first was a very loose adaptation of Here Comes Garfield, his first TV special. And doing some extensive research, yeah, the movie practically shares the same plot beats as the special, with the main difference being that it actually amazes me how a 25-minute short somehow has better pacing and understanding of the character than any of these movies do. And that's probably because Jim Davis wrote this special along with many others, while the movies were written by different people. Then again, he did also provide creative input on the movies, so I guess he was fine with that Silence of the Lambs joke, huh? And no, before you ask, not even the fully animated movies got this right. I'd say easily the most competent one of the bunch is the newest one, the Garfield movie. It's still like a 4 or 5 out of 10 movie. It's saved by a few decent jokes and the animation is fantastic. It certainly looks like Garfield, but yet again, it just doesn't feel like it. And this was from a guy who actually directed good movies, so like, what happened? Is Garfield as a brand that hard to adapt into a feature film? I hate to say it, but yeah, it just might be. Garfield as a character and concept is pretty basic. He's only known for just a few traits, but he stuck around for as long as he did because, well, those traits are honestly relatable. He eats a lot, hates Mondays, and is lazy. Aren't we all? But those traits aren't enough to make a full movie, so they gotta find new ways of getting him off his ass and doing something for 90 minutes, even if it means to remove what made him work in the first place. That's why, to me at least, something like a TV special or even a TV show would be better suited for Garfield, since they're short form and you don't necessarily need a long runtime for you to make a competent story with him. Maybe it's not impossible to make a good Garfield movie. There's a decent amount of stuff in this franchise that could have potential to be adapted well. They just choose not to. So right now we're stuck with Chris Pratt having daddy issues and Bill Murray wanting to get the fuck out of there. Of course there will be disagreements in my statements, but I guess what I'm trying to say is that these movies absolutely suck at adapting Garfield, and it makes me sad. Like, really sad.
Garfield. Praise the Lord and Savior Garfield. He died for our lasagna.